Definitely gators in there. A horse has lost its shoe. That was a big puddle. Let's talk a little bit about trains, shall we? Whoop, whoop, all aboard. So hello and welcome to this next episode of Adventures of the Corpse. So this is quite an interesting one today. We are in Stratford Greenway, just in Meon Vale section of it at the moment. So that's the south end, and we're going to walk over into Stratford on the north end. So we're going to follow the Stratford Greenway all the way up, talk about a little bit of the history, see what interesting things we can find. Lovely bit of wetlands that they have here, just hanging off the estate wetlands on the one side, and then you've got these beautiful woods on the other side. Can't go wrong already. Anyway, come along. So I'll pop up a map, not that it's going to be a hard one to follow as it is just a straight line, but yeah, just so you can see where we are in the world really. Oh, look at that in there. Definitely gators in there. So before we get onto the main sort of Stratford Greenway, so out of Meon Vale, a little bit about Meon Vale really. So this used to be a military base before it was a big old housing estate. Had its own sort of fire station, apparently, had its own church, housed, I think it was refugees and prisoners of war during the war. So behind this green fence that you can see just there, with the white buildings at the back, decades ago that used to be a bit of a dumping ground pretty much for old train carriages and the like, a bit of a scrapyard, but now it's actually a rail innovation and research facility. So I think it's just quite amazing just to showcase the fact that wasted space really that was just a bit of a dumping ground, and now it's turned into one of the most ultra modern sort of places. So this here is the end of what I consider the Meon Vale section of the Greenway, and as you can see it's all very secretive in there, so I'm not going to obviously film it too much because I don't want to get arrested. I just love how you've got the tweeting of the birds there on the one side, and every now and again you can just hear a train horn go off. So yeah, there's the entrance to the Rail Innovation Centre. Amazing. And here marks the beginning of the Greenway. So you can see the old railway lines there marked out on the road, and there's lovely little things like this just to sort of mark the infrastructure of what it used to be here. Yeah, some amazing old photos here. Yeah, so this is exactly the same information that I actually came with. So the Oxford, Worcester and Wolverhampton Railway opened a single track line back in 1859, and it was a really big key way to get from the West Midlands to the southwest. It was then upgraded to a double line in 1908, which basically made the Stratford's Honeybourne line. So ultimately it was the creation of the M5 motorway that made travel just so much easier by car in that region. There was also financial implications and also a train derailment that led to the demise. Luckily in 1989 the Warwickshire Council partnered up with Sustrans and created the Greenway route that you see today. It still has many of the remaining infrastructure preserved, which is what we're going to take a closer look at today. So we have had an incredible amount of rain over in the UK, and it has flooded out a lot of places, including Stratford. So once we get to that end, I'm sure we'll see some of the floods as well. It's been surrounded by, see all those flies, those bugs? See them all? That brings me nicely actually onto one of the things about this place. So this is thought, this 5 mile big old thing here is meant to be a corridor apparently that a lot of wildlife use. There's a rare butterfly, I believe, that is known to be here. And also bats, there's 10 different species of bats also use this because of all the trees and the shrubs that you can see either side of us. They use it as a bit of a navigation thing to get to their feeding banks of the River Avon. I suppose it's a bit of a theme, I suppose, through this video really, about old spaces being reused and repurposed and then thriving. Not just bats either, I forgot to mention. It's actually the common lizard actually uses the Greenway as well, apparently. As you can see, some of these there are hoof prints. I keep saying hoof, don't I? It's horseshoe prints as well, because a lot of the, this is a bridleway, so it's a big shared path by everyone. Bound to see a lot of different types of traffic on here. You can imagine this in the spring, summertime. Absolutely heaving with bikes and walkers and dog walkers. And rightly so. So as you can see, the train lines would have literally just ran straight up this arboretum of trees. And some of these trees apparently are walnut trees, and these walnut trees aren't native to here. So interestingly, they don't know if they were planted with over a century ago with the original railway line to sort of keep it covered, or whether it's from discarded walnuts out of the train carriage side from passengers of bygone eras. Horse riders, please keep to your left. This is one of the sort of stops along the way, as you can see as well. It also crosses over with the Monarch's Way every now and again. And then these are the old signposts. I assume that these are made out of the old chains or something that they used to have, but not too sure. But yeah, that way is Long Marston and a pub. And then the old Millcote is this way. So just looking back there towards Meon Vale, you got the Meon Hill there, which is looking absolutely glorious there in the background. So just had a little ponder. I think we've still got quite a long way to go, and we haven't really hit anything of significance yet. This, however, is a bit more modern significance. So this is the new estate, Fernley Park, and that is the old Long Marston airfield down that way. So big old housing estate, God knows how many houses, probably thousands. But that will also be linking onto the Greenway and obviously bring more and more people to it, which is only a good thing really, people using the outdoor space and stuff. But like I say, this is definitely, if you don't like people, this is definitely one to avoid in the warmer seasons, shall we say. All the bugs down here, oof. I have never seen it this flooded before, if I'm honest. It's always the edge to go to. But yeah, it's a lot of water come down. It's a nice little seat there, seat feature, made out of the old sleepers by the looks of it. It's quite funny, every now and again I can still hear the train horns going off. They must be doing like MOTs, if you know what I mean, on a train. Every now and again, just hear a sounded like Tweedledee and Tweedledum there, didn't I? From no, who's it? It's a Tweedledee Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland. Button, button, who's got the button? It is, isn't it? I'm sure it is. I wonder if that's an old feature of the railway. I would imagine it is. Looks a little bit like a portaloo. Maybe if the train driver got cut short. That's where he used to go. That was quite a bit deeper than I thought, unfortunately, so I think I'm going to have a wet sock. Not rude. I assume that these would have probably been level crossings as well when the train was at full flow. That was quite a badly flooded bit, that, so looks a bit drier up here, so. That was a big puddle. Definitely got 2 wet feet now. Anywho, as we're here, walking along the Greenway, the railway line, let's talk a little bit about trains, shall we? So although this is quite a sleepy path at the moment, it used to hold 2 interestingly named trains. So one of them was the Cornishman Express, a famous long-distance train that whisked passengers from Birmingham all the way to Penzance. Used to come along this line. And also an early diesel pioneer from the Great Western Railway by the name of the Flying Banana. Apparently some of the world's first streamlined diesel rail cars used to come on this route, and they were nicknamed Flying Bananas due to their rounded yellow painted ends. And they could travel from Birmingham to Cardiff, bearing in mind this is 1934, from Birmingham to Cardiff in just over 2 hours. That's, I would say that's probably impressive even by today's standards. So yeah, the Cornishman and the Flying Bananas. Like a great YouTube title, wouldn't it? I think I might actually do that. Does it help if I make train noises? Whoop, whoop, all aboard. I thought they were quite good. There is one bonus, actually, of coming here on a day like today. Oh, look, you can see my big shiny head now. Flooded and quiet day, is that you can walk along making train noises and you don't have to feel embarrassed. A horse has lost its shoe. Is that a shoe, horse? Is that like a wet shoe horse thing? Interesting, never seen that before. Only in Stratford. Apparently as well, the little huts that we came across earlier that I said might have been the Portaloo, which obviously I know it's not Portaloo, was apparently where the workmen used to be. So if they were working on the lines or on the track or anything like that, they would stay in there for shelter, apparently. And they have been there for well over a century. It is quite mad though when you're walking down here, the amount of people that probably were passengers on these trains. And if you go back even further, like before the train line and everything, you've got the Monarch's Way, where King Charles II fled from the Battle of Worcester, and he went all this way to try and get over to France. And he crossed this Greenway many times. There could have been a royal literally just popped into the bush there, couldn't there? Just to have a wee. I've got to say, this is the most peaceful I think I've ever seen this Greenway. And anybody who's watching this who has been on this Greenway before, I'm pretty sure you'll agree, this is probably the quietest it has ever been. This is crazy. I mean, look, not a single person in sight for about a mile each end. A little bit spooky. So, talking of spooky, there is the old Millcote train station that obviously is no longer there. However, there is words about a ghost. So starting to see some of the old structures here, and if you look in here, we have West Bromwich BWB Labs maker. So these were, I'd assume that these were constructed for the train bridge. Lots of bugs there. Oof. But yeah. I'm getting very lucky with buzzards lately. It looks like, and I have seen this on an Attenborough recently, where I think it was the London one he did, where they actually teach each other to catch their prey and things. Because it looks like there's three there. Potentially a mom, a dad, and a young one, and they're teaching him how to maneuver in the sky and catch his prey. Great tit or blue tit, tweeting away beautifully. Definitely need to make a note of this place and come back here and not film, but take some snaps, because we're going to be able to get quite a few birds from here. Those buzzards are still going for it. I mean, they might just be fighting for a mate or something, couldn't they? Or playing even, but making out of a racket. Listen to them. So this here is the old Millcote station. There's another one of them shoes there. I wonder if it's same horse. And if you don't know Millcote station, this is a very, very interesting little surprise you're about to see. Another one of those beautiful benches made out of the sleepers. Well, just before we get there, you see me on hill there from this angle. Amazing. So, talking of what we were talking about earlier on the trail about making old disused things into thriving new opportunities, this is a class example of that. And this is a 1960s carriage that has now been turned into a cafe. How beautiful is that? It's a lovely little picnic bench here. Serve a cracking fry up as well, I tell you. Open 7 days a week. Well, let's do a menu for you. That'd be a new one for the channel, wouldn't it? Pause it. But yeah, beautiful surroundings. And that there, you see the old stone pile, is the old platform. Amazing use of an unused item that's now being used and thriving. But definitely worth. There's a little car park literally just here, look, you can park at as well if you don't want to do the walk I've just done. It's pretty much halfway point of the trail, so yeah, you can see here actually. So yeah, so we started off down here and we are here. So a little story there about the old station. There is meant to be a spectral being there. So apparently the old signalman still lurks around there of an evening. And he can sometimes be seen by people, especially in the late of night. Ooh. Isn't that like the most gorgeous green hill you've ever seen? Is that not like a Windows screensaver from '98? Let's do a bit of a route check here. So we are over halfway. This is Chamber Crossing Halt, and we have come from Millcote about half a mile. That's where the train carriage cafe was. Long Marston is where we started our journey. And Stratford is 2.5 and the car park is 1.5. So we go as far as the car park basically, so another 1.5 miles. And if you notice at the bottom there is a cafe at there as well, and that is also very interesting. So we'll crack on and get there. Really is a beautiful walk. I know it's straight and it's flat, but it's definitely not, some would say it's featureless. I wouldn't really say it was boring. So we're not too far from the first bridge. The bridges are pretty much consecutive, one after another. And just off to the left, just up here, is actually a walk I definitely want to come back and do when it's not flooded, because you can walk pretty much what we've done but you can walk back along the river, all the way along to, I think you can get eventually to Walford, and then from Stratford-upon-Avon, you can get to the Heart of England Forest. And from the Heart of England Forest, you can walk all the way back through all the lovely, beautiful little forest links that they've made over the last few years. You can go all the way back to Meon Vale. So yeah, look out for that one coming up, likely in the summer. Look at that, rushing down there, it's like a waterfall. It is a waterfall. Rushing off the fields into this big old watery mess. So you can just see the first rows of houses of Stratford there coming into play. So we're really not far from civilization again now. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous surroundings, isn't it? It really is. And then also you've got the added bonus today of the floods, which add a little bit of beauty. Makes you remember just how powerful nature is. And talking of floodplains, so as you can see there is the Stanwell's Bridge.
Stanwell's Bridge was built in 1959 with the original railway line. It is a Pratt truss lattice girder structure and is one of the few that remain in the UK in this condition. During the doubling of the line in August 1907, a massive steel girder was being hoisted into place for the Stanwell's Bridge. The hoisting gear unfortunately failed and the girder crashed onto the tracks, completely blocking the line for 24 hours.
And this here is, or should be, Stratford Racecourse. So I think it's probably safe to say that to get anywhere in Stratford at the moment, you do need an arc. As you can see, the seagulls absolutely loving it. So we're nearing the end now of this little adventure. Very straight line today, very straight lines. Felt a bit weird, yeah. So we're just coming up on the other cafe that was alluded to back on the sign back there. So this is the more well-known one, I would probably say, because it's closer to Stratford. There's also a little bike hire place here by Mercia Bikes, I believe. But this is Bobby's Cafe, and Bobby's Cafe is also a train carriage. So this is Bobby's Cafe. And again, this is, as I said before, a cafe that is in a 1960s carriage. Oh, they close on Mondays, these do, just so you know. Amazing. Bobby's Bar. So here marks the end of the Greenway. So I believe the train would have just carried on up there and would have gone through parts of Stratford now that are just streets to the Stratford train station that is there in place now. But this is now a car park. So thank you very, very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this episode on Stratford Greenway. If this is your very first time watching, then please do subscribe if you've enjoyed it, if you've made it this far, because we do a walk every single week, usually involving some sort of history, some interesting facts all over the place. So yeah, but for now, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.